Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's Friday, June 23rd, and we got some Major League Baseball free pick winners today. And like every Friday, I'm joined by Mr. Jesse Shule of jesseshule.com, Mr. Sean Higgs of picksandparleys.net. You're watching the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast right here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel, brought to you by gamblersworld.com. Boys, how goes it? I mean, it's that time of year, unless you're doing like Jesse, CFL, and I don't know if you're doing the USFL, Jesse, and I know you're doing soccer too, but me and Sean our focus seem to be on baseball. But tell the folks, Jesse, I mean, beside baseball, you're the only one who ventures off at this time of year to other sports. And again, folks, you don't have to enjoy watching the USFL or the CFL or soccer. At the end of the day, this guy wins. Pick up the paper the next day, look at the scores, and move on. Jesse.
Well, my total of the year with the BC Lions won yesterday. Went under the total. BC got the upset win at Winnipeg, which was a surprising result, but I guess not that surprising to me. CFL has been kind to me over the years. I think Sports Memo just ran a promotion saying 64% since 2021. Some nice numbers every year with CFL for me, and feel good about it. I got off to a bit of a rocky start, and I got off to a rocky start in June, but the last week has been quite good. Everything seems to be coming together. I don't want to use too many superlatives because that can be dangerous, but yeah. I feel like I'm in a good spot right now.
You certainly are. 64% since 2021 at the CFL. I don't care if you've never watched a CFL game before. If you enjoy and want to win in sports betting, not just enjoy, but it's always more enjoyable when you win. Sean, 64% is incredible.
And listen, I don't do CFL or tennis or soccer, things like that. But if I'm just a person who wants to bet, like most people come in and get sites, like I'm looking to bet games I want to win. A lot of times it's, even on the free picks, it's them just you backing up their opinion on a game. What better way to probably build your bankroll, make money, than betting with Jesse on CFL, because you don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And your mind won't come in and be like, well, it's not like it's a Cowboy Giant game on Sunday Night Football where you kind of know, like, oh, no, he's wrong. This is, you don't know anything about CFL. Leave it to a literal expert who's hitting 61% for the last
64.
One more thing, Sean, is when they do come and buy my CFL picks, they will at least get some form of an analysis that will explain to them how I came to my decision and what the thought process was coming to that decision. And that seems to be a lost art these days. I see there's a lot of guys out there that say 500 dimes on the on this team, and that's it. That's all you get for your 50 bucks or whatever.
Especially football, I always put some stuff in there because you have to have, I don't think people want to come in just like, what is this about?
Yeah, I mean,
baseball, I pick and choose my little write-ups because 11 games or whatever, I'm going to put a few in. But if you buy, like, if anybody buys this, you kind of know when you get the picks, you see them, you exactly know what's really probably going to be in a write-up from how we've written up on our other games. But CFL, let's be honest though, Jess. It's one thing putting out no write-up on NFL or college football or NBA or something, right? You're still hitting 60-something%. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's not like you're just throwing random games and they're not hitting. You're hitting at a 60. I say 61, 64. I'm sorry, I'm shortchanging you. 64. But you don't throw darts at 64%, folks.
No,
you definitely don't.
I mean, what the heck?
I know I put analysis on every one of my picks in every sport. And the reason I am a thorough believer of it, people want to know when they're paying you, there's a method to your madness. And secondly, sometimes that analysis really eases the pain off a loss because you want people to understand that
why you took it.
Yeah, why you took it. And there's times, I don't know about you guys, when you evaluate your picks, when I evaluate my picks from the day before, I don't dwell on losers, but I also evaluate them and say, hey, okay, I lost this game, but my methodology that I used in my analysis, would you do the same thing today that you did yesterday in the same identical situation? If the answer is yes, you're good. If you're way off, then it's time to make a little bit, not to panic, but sometimes you might catch a mistake you may have made, something you might have missed, and you make a slight tweak. So analysis is extremely important in terms of when you put your plays out, in my opinion. Now, when you put out 11, 12 games a day, sometimes like Sean does in Major League Baseball, that's a huge workload. If you need,
I should perhaps have, like, if I put out like a 3-pack of games or a single game, there's a write up in that sold package.
Yeah, it's
so there's I always try to put something in, because if a new person goes and looks at it the next day on the leaderboard, like, oh, what was this thing on this, and you'll see a little paragraph on baseball. Some days they're like a run line. I'm not. I shouldn't say that, because I got my pack today. I have, write-ups in there. So,
but. Yeah. And if anybody wants to know what you're thinking, Sean, they can always tune in to Midday Money. They'll find out exactly what you think about everything as far as the best burger in town, the baseball betting, and everything else going on.
That's for sure.
Yep. Does a great job on Midday Money every day, noon Eastern time, Monday through Sunday. The guy is a trooper. He doesn't take a break. He also does a short podcast at night as well. And
it's not even short anymore, Ross. It's like an hour long. I've always people go, it's not even like an easy one. It used to be like 15 minutes, come in, out, hello. No, not anymore. It's nonstop. It's
and that
crazy.
Takes me
but
to
that's good though. If new people are popping in, I can't just not answer their questions, or because they're like, well, what do you think? How do you go about doing that? Right now, maybe they come back. Maybe they think I'm a lunatic. They don't come back. I don't know.
Well, I think you're a lunatic, but I still love you.
Yeah, I mean, most people do.
And if you're going to watch Canadian football,
follow Jesse, not me.
Yeah, if you're going to watch Canadian football, I can't watch Canadian football anymore. You know why? Because I have motion sickness. So when I see 12 guys in motion, there's 12 guys on the field. They're all running to the line of scrimmage. I get dizzy, man. So I'll pick up the paper the next day and just look at the score. Anyway, all right, we got baseball to talk about today, and there's some weather conditions we need to deal with in the Northeast. The only game that affects us on our 3 picks today is Sean with the Mets and Philly, and he's going to give you his analysis on that, and then he's going to, if he has anything else he might want to share with you guys in terms of where else you can go just in case that game gets rained out. He's going to share that with you as well. Correct, Sean?
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. Take it away. Mets and Philly.
Yeah, so it's Mets, Philly. We got a Senga matchup here versus Taijuan Walker. And, I was kind of high on Senga, right? I had him last couple starts at home. Really didn't get the job done. And I think me and Jess were just talking off air about guys with like kind of crazy home road splits. We got 2 guys again with the crazy home road splits. And, Senga at home 250 ERA, about 480 on the road. A lot of those runs given up early. But the fact of the matter is forget about that. The Mets have won 17 of 21 here in Philly against Philly. They swept a month ago. But you know what? I'm taking Taijuan Walker. Both teams in off losses. But really, the Mets to me are just in a different kind of place than Philly. All right, Philly just lost 2 to the Braves. That game was 0-0 yesterday in the 10th and turned into a 5-1 game on an error. Taijuan Walker's been more than solid the last 2 months. He has I wrote it down, but here we go. 2.70 ERA last month, which again, I'm not, ERAs could be, that's kind of lucky if they're high. His whip is there. Batting average against is there. And I'm still coming back to the Mets as just a whole on the season. What they thought they'd be and where they're at, as opposed to Philly, who thought, oh, we're in trouble because we have no Bryce Harper and Hoskins is gone. And yet, here they come. Guys are hitting. The team is winning. They're getting good pitchers. Suarez comes back, and he starts pitching well. I'm taking a Philly here. It's a short number. I think I have a better team. Just mentally, I think in a better place overall. I mean, the Mets' best player, Alonso's out. No Mets. I'm not a Met guy. A short number like this, I'll take the home team. It's kind of like low-hanging. It's kind of like easy cheese. Is it a trap? Why this love for the Mets? Maybe you guys will have some thoughts on that. On love for the Mets. And real fast, so if that one does get rained out or whatever, I'm looking at the Marlins. And of course, we're gonna go run line here. You should be able to get about a plus 110 now, 115 against the Pirates, losers of 10 in a row and 15-17 Pittsburgh. So the Marlins quietly have 44 wins. No one, as much as everybody talks about like the Orioles kind of being a good team or the Diamondbacks that are sitting in first place. How about the Marlins in second place? The pitching's always been their last couple of years. They could never just hit. Well, they're hitting, and they're hitting. I think they're number 1, number 2 versus lefties, hitting like 295. And Luis Ortiz for Pittsburgh. This isn't like a Tom Glavine. Insert any good lefty. You know, I know I'm going to go back to some guy in the 90s or 80s when I bring up a old school baseball player, but take the Marlins here. Run line plus 115, 120 versus the sinking ship of the Pirates.
Yeah, to a couple things here, from my opinion's sake. The Marlins 18-7 over their last 25.
I think they're 13-2 at home or something like that the last 15. Something ridiculous.
Yeah, and then they're 12-2 in their last 14 at home against teams that currently have a losing record, like Pittsburgh. If you look at the Marlins and you look at their total resume, they win the games they're supposed to on a regular basis. And where they have difficulty is when they step up in class, and they're not stepping up in class here. I had them yesterday, and look at you got to handicap bullpens, folks. And, Keller pitched a gem for Pittsburgh yesterday. He only gave up 1 run in 7 innings. And they led 4-1 going into the 8th. And then Pittsburgh bullpen takes over. And the Marlins put up a 5 spot in the 8th and win the game 6-4. So, yeah.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt, Marlins.
Never in doubt, man. I had that nailed. And, and then the other game, the Philly game. Look at T1 Walker. Last 3 starts. And this is red hot pitching, an 0.45 ERA and an 0.80 whip, and averaging 6.7 innings pitched per start, which is basically 6 2/3 innings. So this guy's pitching great baseball. And then on the other side of the coin, you got Kodai Senga, and Sean mentioned his home and away splits. I mean, on the road, 4.78 ERA, 1.63 whip, and he's under 3 at home. But he's not at home tonight. So I agree with both of those picks. Jesse, your take.
I agree as well. If I was assigned the same game as Sean, I probably would have said something quite similar. I don't love it, though. I like the Marlins a lot more than I would like the Phillies tonight. So that's the only caveat I'd say is I'm higher on the Marlins as a pick than I am on the Phillies.
And Philly might be a moot point, folks, because if you look at the weather in the Northeast, specifically in the New York metropolitan area, and which Philly is only a couple hours away, you're looking at forecast of rain and high percentage of precipitation forecast. So again, the Marlins might be the way that you want to look at this game, and like Sean said, don't be afraid to lay the money line or run line in this game with Pittsburgh struggles and the starting pitching matchup as well. All right, Jesse, you're going to be looking at what I consider to be at the beginning of the year. If we were going to be talking about Houston and LA Dodgers, we thought we'd be talking about 2 powerhouse teams, but that's not been the case recently, specifically over the last couple of weeks for both teams. So what's your take here? Houston and the LA Dodgers.
Well, Ross, I'm glad that you assigned me this game because I probably wouldn't have looked at it so closely otherwise. And when I got into it, I saw some interesting stuff. My first knee-jerk reaction was, I'd like Houston as a dog, or I'd like Houston if I could get Houston at a good price. I'm more familiar with JP France. I don't like the way the Dodgers have been playing, even though they won a couple games recently. Their bullpen's been terrible over the last month. But when I dug into it, I settled on the total. The total's sitting at 8.5. I'm looking at the first 5 innings total. I got a 5, under 5, minus 125. I see some books have 4.5. So if you can get a 5, grab the 5. Otherwise, take the plus money on under 4.5. So it's a matchup of 2 rookie starting pitchers. JP France, his numbers are pretty solid, but I dug in and looked at his last 5 starts. He allowed 2 runs on 6 2/3 and a loss to Cincinnati, 3 runs in 6 2/3 and a win over Cleveland, 1 run in 7 innings and a loss to the Angels, 4 runs in 5 2/3 and a loss to Minnesota, and 2 runs in 5 2/3 in a loss to Milwaukee. So this guy is giving up a run or two, 3 runs a game over his last 5. He's been really consistent, really steady. Looks pretty solid to me. Unfortunately, the Dodgers, he gives up 1 run in 7 innings. They can't even get a win for him. And then you look on the other side, you got Ed Sheeran. Sorry, not Ed Sheeran. Emmett Sheehan. Oh, a bit of a slip there. Emmett Sheehan. But we laugh. But this guy, I don't know if are you guys familiar with this guy?
I mean, he hasn't made a start this year. I don't know if he's appeared in relief.
Well, he tossed a 6-inning no-hitter. He tossed 6 no-hit innings.
Yeah.
And then they yanked him because he's a young guy, right? So that's his 1 start this year. And if you look at his minor league stats, they'll blow your mind. He's 14-3 with a 2.76 ERA and a 0.81 WHIP in the minors. During that time, 137 innings pitched, 228 strikeouts.
Ooh,
this kid looks like he could be the real deal.
Yeah. He looks like he could make more money than Ed Sheeran in the long run too. So
I mean, that's like 2 years in the minors' numbers. Like I'm up,
See,
and 39 games, 26 starts. It's not like one of those. I mean, 228 Ks in 137 innings.
Yeah,
that is crazy, isn't it?
I'm looking at StatFox, and they're showing he hasn't made a start this year, which is crazy. That's why
maybe he came in and pitched 6 innings in the middle of the game, but that
Well, MLB.com.
I thought it was a start.
Yeah,
I thought it was a start. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, you're probably right, Jesse. I'm not doubting what you're saying.
I mean, you usually don't see guys come in and pitch 6 innings in the middle of a game, right?
Well, in this day and age, when you have the guy come in and start a game,
wait, that actually somebody from the Giants pitched like 5 innings the other day. It was like one in like a 5-inning guy came in, pitched 5 innings out of the bullpen.
Yeah. So, Sean, your take. I mean, I will say this: looking at this matchup, I mean, the kid from the Dodgers isn't.
I would do run line.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say run line Dodgers just because Houston's offense, the entire and what do they have? 40 wins, 39 wins, whatever they have. They're not even playing. Like I look at that team. And they're not even playing good. Got pitchers on the injured list, hitters on the injured list, hitters hitting 200. That is. And now it's. I mean, we're closing in July, so you think eventually they'll play to the back of the baseball card and start getting better. But and the Dodgers as well. And I'm not high in the Dodgers. I don't like the lineup. Everybody's like, "Oh, Freeman and Betts." I mean, then what? Then a bunch of guys hitting 211. Under I could see, but like Jess said, you got to look at the first 5 in that one because of bullpen issues by LA. I'm not sold on their last 2-0 wins over the Angels, which of course I had the Angels both games there, thinking they'd score something against the Dodgers.
Yeah, the starters went deep in that game too.
Yeah.
I mean, Kershaw went 7 innings, and that's you hope when your starter goes 7 innings that the tail end of your bullpen is your strength. And I think that if you're going to give the Dodgers any credit in that regard, I think that's where it is. But Sean, I mean. Jesse, I'm looking at his pick, and he's onto something because you're looking at the Dodgers have scored 3 runs. Or look, in the last 4 games, they win 2-0, they win 2-0, they lose 7-3, and they lose 15-0. What's that? 7 runs they've scored in 4 games.
Yeah.
And Houston is a pitcher-heavy team right now. They're winning. When they're winning because of their pitching, not because of their hitting prowess, like we've seen in past years. And eliminating the bullpens is always a good idea if you have 2 starting pitchers you like, and you want to go under. Houston last 7 games, their bullpen is 6.23 ERA. The Dodgers last 7 games, 6.07 ERA for their bullpen. So there you go. I love that pick of under 4.5 or under 5 in the first 5. So very good. Any other further comments, guys?
On that game, people like to bet all types of crazy things. That'd be a run line plus a 130 or whatever it is. Or maybe how about a strikeout prop over that kid?
Yeah, I would have to say. You
only had 3 last game. What I don't have it in front. I didn't look.
Jesse, how many strikeouts did he have in those 6 innings? 3. Yeah.
John says 3. I didn't have it written down.
Yeah,
I was just so impressed with the 228 and 137 innings.
Well, you should be. You should be. I mean, that's an indication the kid's a power pitcher. I mean, now, he's facing the caliber hitters he's facing now, much different, but still, you can't ignore that. At some point, we're gonna see this kid show his strikeout prowess on the major league level. Anyway, all right. Before I get to my pick, which will be on the Red Sox and White Sox game, folks, don't forget you are watching the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast on the Winner Circle Sports Betting YouTube channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please take a second to do so. You're watching this video because you're interested in sports betting. Why wouldn't you subscribe? It's absolutely free. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. You're not going to be harassed by anybody. It's in why you, after you subscribe, take a second more to go into your YouTube settings and hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified immediately upon any of our Winner Circle Sports Betting podcasts going up on our channel. And don't forget, at the end of the show, give us a like, folks, because we put in a lot of hard work in preparation for these videos to make you the most well-informed sports bettor you could possibly be. All right, the Red Sox and the White Sox. It'll be Brian Bello going for the Boston Red Sox. It'll be Lucas Giolito going for the Chicago White Sox. Right now, Boston is a 110 road favorite, minus 110 road favorite, and the total in this game is 8.5. And look at Boston coming off a 6-0 loss at Minnesota yesterday, in which they were completely stymied by Joe Ryan, who threw a complete game shutout, 3-hitter, walked nobody, dominated the Red Sox. And here's the thing, not to just focus on that one game, because that could happen to any team, no matter how good you are against a pitcher who's on that particular day, like Ryan was. But the Red Sox are 5-15 this year after scoring 2 runs or less. So that's right there. That's not a fluke. You got a pretty good sample size, and they just don't rebound well after a low-scoring output. Chicago is coming off a 3-game homestand versus Texas, in which they lost 2 out of 3. However, they had yesterday off. Boston didn't. And the White Sox 5-1 in their last 6 games after a day off. And Chicago is also 10-4 this year at home when coming off a home loss, which they are. And that includes going 7-1 in the last 8 in that situation. Giolito, his last 3, a 1.50 ERA, 7 home starts this year with a 2.73 ERA. I am going to take the Chicago White Sox here, plus 100 against the Boston Red Sox. Jesse, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that Giolito is picking himself up off the mat, because he used to be a go-to guy for me. I used to look to bet him in most of his home starts. I've been off him this season. I didn't like what I saw early on, and I guess I can't argue with your pick. It sounds like he's rounding into shape, and I better keep a closer eye on him moving forward.
There you go. And Sean, I know we both have a sour taste in our mouth after Wednesday's Chicago White Sox performance, but it's a new day, and your take on this game.
Yeah, Gio's definitely turned it around a little bit here, and good numbers at home. I like Brian Bello here for the Sox. He's a nice young kid, but how about that under 8.5? Both pitchers pitching well. Bellows,
yeah,
nice step forward in year 2. And I don't mind. Listen, you lose to Joe Ryan with a bullpen guy, whoever they had going yesterday. That's fine. You had won 5 in a row. You played really good. You swept the Yanks. You went in there, took a couple from Twins. Travel day, I get it. I like the under though, 8.5. Give me the under 8.5.
Yeah,
as much as they have some guys who could hit, I don't know. I like the under.
There's actually a couple 8s out there too, which it shows to me. I'm looking at these splits on the money. The 8.5. The only thing that concerns me with that
was from last night, so I didn't know if it moved there.
No, it's you.
I see all 8.5s everywhere. So
I'm seeing an 8 at DraftKings and 8 at Caesars, and the rest are all 8.5.
Okay.
All right. So I'm looking at the live odds right as we speak. But my point is there is a couple 8s out there, which leads me to believe that there's a lot more people that agree with the under pick than not. And the other thing too here is the Chicago White Sox bullpen. That's what my concern would be, is in terms of taking the under for the entire game. If you want to eliminate the bullpen out of the equation, Boston's bullpen's been great over the last 7. But if you want to take the under in the first 5, you're looking at under 4.5, which is, if you consider the fact the full game total is 8.5, and you got 2 pitchers that are pitching very well right now. I failed to mention Brian Bello, how good he's been pitching, but his ERA is under 3 as well over the last 3 starts. So there you go, folks. All right, Jesse, starting with you, tell the folks again who your free pick is for today and what you got coming up this weekend coming up.
All right. Well, I'm going under 5 in the first 5 innings in Houston at LA. We're looking for big things from Ed Sheeran here today. So we're Emmett Sheehan. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Jesse Shule, on YouTube at Jesse Shule Picks. Lots of CFL, MLS, soccer, and baseball during the summer. And yeah, come see me at jesseshule.com. You'll be glad that you did.
Sean?
Real fast on Jesse's pick, the Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, is it Mike Shanahan's son? What's his name? Anyway, his strikeout prop is 4.5. We had mentioned it, so that's 4.5. I got the Phils here if they play with the short number, but let's be honest, we're going to take the Marlins on a run line because that game will be 100% played. They do get rain in Florida. They play through it. They don't care. It's an hour downpour. We'll play it. We'll do run line, and that's midday money is my show, 7 days a week, 12 noon Eastern. Mr. Sean Higgs on Twitter. Come say hello and pick some parlays with these chuckleheads. We're all together.
Miami's got a roof now.
Oh, do they really? I thought it was kind of like a half open.
Well, no, they open it up when there's no threat of rain, which that's very seldom in the middle of the summer there. So yes, the old stadium had no roof. This one does.
Because I remember watching it. I watched it, and maybe it was just a highlight or something, and I was like, oh, nice. I don't know. I don't watch it. Don't watch the highlights, folks. We talked about just betting Jesse blindly with a CFL. Don't watch the games. Don't. You don't have to know who's got a dome.
There you go. Anyway, I don't know what I could say after that. But I like the Chicago White Sox plus 100 against the Boston Red Sox, and no, there is no dome in or no roof in Chicago at either stadium, and the weather's going to be fine there tonight. So it's hard to top that one. You know what, Jesse? I talk about people hitting the like button. What do you want them to do when not only hit the like button? If you didn't hear that, folks, smash that like button. Until the next time, for Jesse Shule, Sean and Ross Benjamin, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. We're going to go 3-0 today, folks, and have a great weekend.